saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm wormin', I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming.
Welcome into the cruel mind of the king of worms.
You cannot kill death itself, reanimate the bones. Now I'm back on the alphabet, farming souls from the underground. I've been around, now I'm back from the dead to take back my crown. I can hear your screams, even Vivek and Salt that don't mean shit to me. They've been profiting while I've been harvesting. They've been living the dream but have been forgetting. The king of worms, king of words, soon to be the king of nerd, no need for intervention. No, I can handle them, I like what Cinemax did. Made a class about me and they killed it instead. I kinda wanna do what Horcrux did, just not be a POS and get busted. I will be thrusted into the main picture. My needs more common than the essence of health mixture.
Try to stop me.
I'm taking over nerd and turning over graves. Undead Zergan.
Miserable fools, you are nothing.
I have plenty in my posse, stomping saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm wormin', I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming. Hey, I've been flowing, soldier glowing, pile of bones in my lap, got no time for hosing. Soon time is frozen, Citric wanna stop me, but I'm too freaky to let that happen. They know I'm slapping, bone daddy clapping. All the haters think I'm capping when I say I'm gonna get the last laugh in. Casting soul magic sideways, so you know that I'm swagging.
I rise, you roll quivers and dies. Betrayer of the five, lich god unalive. You can't stand to fight me, wait out your life to spite me. You might see digger titans and shades, eyes in the sky in my valley of blades. A reflection of the king as your eyes fade to black. Desecration from the grave, then I bring you back. King of worms on the hunt and I'm about to eat. This beast on the ground bleeding out of my feet. One con from the ashes like a phoenix to fly. Take the life, take the flesh, make you mine when you die. Afterlife, at the death become a god of no realm. Necro moon revenant, many Marco is him. How I torture a race, leave your mind in a haze. Bring the light to the dark with the bodies I blaze.
By all means, try to stop me.
I'm taking over nerd and turning over graves. Undead Zergan.
Miserable fools, you are nothing.
I have plenty in my posse, stomping saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm wormin', I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming. You cannot kill death itself, reanimate the bones. Now I'm back on the alphabet, farming souls from the underground. I've been around, now I'm back from the dead to take back my crown. I can hear your screams, even Vivek and Salt that don't mean shit to me. They've been profiting while I've been harvesting. They've been living the dream but have been forgetting. The king of worms, king of words, soon to be the king of nerd, no need for intervention. No, I can handle them, I like what Cinemax did. Made a class about me and they killed it instead. I kinda wanna do what Horcrux did, just not be a POS and get busted. I will be thrusted into the main picture. My needs more common than the essence of health mixture.
Try to stop me.
I'm taking over nerd and turning over graves. Undead Zergan.
Miserable fools, you are nothing.
I have plenty in my posse, stomping saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm wormin', I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming. Hey, I've been flowing, soldier glowing, pile of bones in my lap, got no time for hosing. Soon time is frozen, Citric wanna stop me, but I'm too freaky to let that happen. They know I'm slapping, bone daddy clapping. All the haters think I'm capping when I say I'm gonna get the last laugh in. Casting soul magic sideways, so you know that I'm swagging.
I rise, you roll quivers and dies. Betrayer of the five lich, god unalive. You can't stand to fight me. Wait out your life to spite me. You might see digger titans and shades, eyes in the sky in my valley of blades. A reflection of the king as your eyes fade to black. Desecration from the grave, then I bring you back. King of worms on the hunt and I'm about to eat. This beast on the ground bleeding out of my feet. One climb from the ashes like a phoenix to fly. Take the life, take the flesh, make you mine when you die. Afterlife, at the death become a god in no realm. Necro moon revenant, many Marco is him. How I torture a race, leave your mind in a haze. Bring the light to the dark with the bodies I blaze.
By all means, try to stop me.
I'm taking over Nerd and turning over graves. Undead Zergan,
Miserable fools, you are nothing.
I have plenty in my posse, stomping saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm worming, I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming. You cannot kill death itself, reanimate the bones. Now I'm back on the alphabet, farming souls from the underground. I've been around, now I'm back from the dead to take back my crown. I can hear your screams, even Vivek and Soft that don't mean shit to me. They've been profiting while I've been harvesting. They've been living the dream but have been forgetting. The king of worms, king of words, soon to be the king of nerd, no need for intervention. I know I can handle them, I like what Cinemax did. Made a class about me and they killed it instead. I kinda wanna do what Horcrux did, just not be a POS and get busted. I will be thrusted into the main fixture. My needs more common than the essence of health mixture.
Try to stop me.
I'm taking over Nerd and turning over graves. Undead Zergan,
Miserable fools, you are nothing.
I have plenty in my posse, stomping saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm worming, I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming. Hey, I've been flowing, social glowing, pile of bones in my lap, got no time for hosing, soon time is frozen. Citric wanna stop me, but I'm too freaky to let that happen. They know I'm slapping, bone daddy clapping. All the haters think I'm capping when I say I'm gonna get the last laugh in. Casting soul magic sideways, so you know that I'm swagging.
I rise, your world quivers and dies. Betrayer of the five lich, god unalive. You can't stand to fight me. Wait out your life to spite me. You might see digger titans and shades, eyes in the sky in my valley of blades. A reflection of the king as your eyes fade to black. Desecration from the grave, then I bring you back. King of worms on the hunt and I'm about to eat. This beast on the ground bleeding out of my feet. One climb from the ashes like a phoenix to fly. Take the life, take the flesh, make you mine when you die. Afterlife, at the death become a god in no realm. Necro moon revenant, many Marco is him. How I torture a race, leave your mind in a haze. Bring the light to the dark with the bodies I blaze.
By all means, try to stop me.
I'm taking over Nerd and turning over graves. Undead Zergan,
Miserable fools, you are nothing.
I have plenty in my posse, stomping saucy, and we undead Zergan.
Even in death, you cannot defeat me.
I'm worming, I'm working, let's hurt him. Undead Zergan.
The essence of death, you are life-loving.
And if you think you're scaring skeletons, you got another thing coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Graveyard, and yes, I have brought back the Lich Druid. This PvP build utilizes the Druid magic with undead capabilities. If you look at the lore, a Lichen Lich is basically a undeath druid that uses both the magic of, the Warden skill line, the animal companions, technically like fungus, and that's kind of like what the beetles are. And basically it's a roleplay PvP build. With that being said, let's jump right into the champion points here. Looking at our CP, green tree here, we have Steed's Blessing. This is really useful in PvP. The mount speed, it's really good. Decreased time it takes for fish. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Alright, blue CP, Cleansing Revival, Exploiter, Master at Arms, Resilience. Red CP, we have Boundless Vitality, Fortified, Unchained, and Celerity. Looking into the character sheet here, we are sitting on our front bar stats. Magical recovery and stamina recovery will go up with our pots. Health recovery is not too important. Max magic is just under 24,000, and then our max health will still be just over 30,000 in no CP, but 32,500, of course, sitting perfect with CP. Spell damage and spell penetration, I honestly have no idea what it is, fully buffed. Like, the window of this particular build is so... I'm sure you could see what the highest is if you're able to capture it, but it flip-flops so much just because of buffs and unbuffs and what have you. So it can be very, very high. I have seen the spell penetration reach upwards to 25k-ish. Of course, that's obviously with one of our monster sets, which is Balorg, but that doesn't take account for major and minor breach as well. So we could be anywhere in the 30,000 range with that. Spell damage is anywhere between 5,800 to a little over 6,000. I'm honestly not sure, just because of the way one of our sets responds to buffs and debuffs. Spell critical and critical damage isn't super important because we're going to be outputting so much damage with this build, and our resistances are they also go up with our back bar set, and then of course our damage mitigation as well. Critical resistance sitting at 2,500. That will not change unless we go into no CP, which we do lose the resilience passive, but nonetheless we're still sitting around that 2k mark in no CP, which is plenty. Honestly, Rallying Cry is it's a bit old. I needed to take a break from Rallying Cry, so I put this build together. I did a bit of reading, and I even changed the outfit to kind of match the Lichen Lich, the Lich Druid per se. But super fun build. I really enjoy this a lot. We have 64 points into magic. We're using the Atronach Mundus Stone for that recovery. Jewels of Misrule or Smoked Bear Haunch, it really doesn't matter. Don't let anybody fool you. The difference between these two foods are very minuscule. And then, I'm sorry, I lied. We are not using Vampire. I took Vampire off because it was just chunking my... it was chunking my my recoveries because of the increased costs. We are using Imperial, though. Imperial is my current choice for update 48. We'll see how I feel after this. We have a good, 4.5-5 months before we see quarter 1 update. So this is probably what I'm going to stick with for now, along with the Crit Crow. But these are... it's going to be at least an Imperial for that amount of time. Jumping into our skills here, front bar, we have Deep Fissure. This is going to give us our major and minor breach. Mystic Siphon, this is honestly a really sweet skill for many of reasons, now that we don't necessarily need Nobility and Decay to apply this to ourselves anymore, because the Bone Armor will give us a corpse. But I have both, so yeah, we have corpse for days. It's also going to buff our damage passively just by having it slotted, and then once we do have it active, we get all that recovery, and then our Major Savagery and Prophecy buff. Remote Totem, very, very slept on skill. This honestly is a very powerful CC. People don't like Charm, so the Warden Charm is super annoying. Well, this basically is that. It interacts with players a bit differently. It might be more noticeable, or maybe noticeable is not the correct term, but it's a smaller radius, but it's less noticeable, if that makes sense. So I can pop this wherever I want, especially with it being remote, and I can plan like where I want to go and then go into that direction, and then by the time this is up, they're already getting CC'd. But the cool thing about this is the powerful debuff that it gives the enemy players. So standing in the totem is one thing, you get the minor protection, but they get hit with major cowardice, reducing their weapon and spell damage by 430. And as far as I know, that is the full duration of the skill itself. So unless they cleanse it, they have the major cowardice. It's not like they go in the totem and then when they step out, they lose the buff. It sticks on them. So as long as they get CC'd by this, which is pretty easy to do, as you can see in the clips here, after 2 seconds, they get feared. It's a AoE fear, so it's not limited by the number of people that it can fear. But yeah, fearing nearby enemies every 2 seconds, causing them to cower in place for 4 seconds. It's honestly a great skill. It's very slept on. Not a lot of people use this, and kind of, interesting because the Major Cowardice is very useful. So not only are you going to decrease their healing by a tremendous amount with Blighted Blastbones, you're going to also give them less healing power just by reducing their weapon and spell damage with this. So very good combination with these two skills. Force Pulse. Everybody has status effects. There's status effects pretty much flying everywhere, so I chose this over Crushing Shock simply because of the cleave damage that it provides. So yeah, Flame Frost shock damage, and then of course they're going to take 86-26 magic damage if they're already afflicted with a status effect. Pretty much everything that we do is going to inflict them with a status effect 2, disease, any of the status effects from Flame Frost Shock. That doesn't count as a status effect, but Shock here, Magic here, and then Frost here. And then, of course, Blighted Blastbones. I don't really have to talk about this too much, but very, very, very powerful skill. I wish it wasn't targetable, but it is what it is. Glacial Colossus, kind of a flex spot, but I chose this simply because it just fits the theme of the build. It doesn't cost very much. We get it a lot, and we kind of spam it. With that being said, I chose the Glacial part of it just for the stun at the end. There are some people that are kind of silly, and they just stand in this ultimate for some reason, and then everybody gets CC'd at the end, if they didn't already get CC'd by the totem. But it does apply Major Vulnerability for 17 seconds, which is about 5 seconds longer than the other morph, increasing their damage taken from everything by an additional 10%. Doesn't cost more than the other morph. You could use the other one if you wanted to. I just liked this because it has the CC incorporated in it. And then if they are dumb enough to stand in it, they get CC'd, or if they stand in the other morph, then they just take a little bit more damage. It's not much, but it's a bit more. Backbar, Ravenous Goliath. This is kind of like our oh shit button. Just pop this, you get a bunch of health back. We kind of face tank people, light and heavy attack, get some health. Blue Betty. This is our resource sustain. So Blue Betty is going to give us our Major Brutality and Sorcery buff. And then every 5 seconds, the Netch removes 1 negative effect, which is a cleanse. Super helpful. If no effects were removed, then we increase our damage done by 5%. Very, very strong. It's a free skill. You can spam this. And then because of the Warden passes, when you spam this, you get a little bit of a heal. Nothing too crazy, but it does do something. Summoner's Armor. This just got buffed for update 48. So it gives us both Major and Minor Resolve. We don't need Vigor. Don't use Vigor with this. It will trigger this off, or basically show that you have your armor off, even though it is running in the background, and it's going to force you to hit this again. If you're dumb like me, then I do this a lot, and I drain my resources. Even though that the armor is active, Vigor will then take the timer off of this, and I just don't deal with it. It's giving me the Minor Resolve. That's what I care about. But it also is going to reduce the cost of our summons, and then the buff that it got. If cast during combat, you can cast a corpse-consuming ability on yourself. So this acts exactly like Nobility and Decay does, except without having to run the set. With that being said, this will stack with Nobility and Decay, so you could technically have both tethers on you. In my case, I have both Deadened Pained and Mystic Siphon, so I'm able to have both of these active at the same time. So if I pop this, Bone Armor, and then that puts the corpse on me, and then Nobility and Decay, that's our back bar set, if you haven't already guessed, is then going to give us an additional corpse thanks to Beautiful Corpse. So I can then hit Dead and Pain and consume both of those corpses, or I can switch over to my front bar, cast Mystic Siphon so that I get the one corpse on myself, switch back to my back bar, cast Dead and Pain, take the other corpse for the Major Protection and the ultimate that it gives us, and the heal. And they're both free skills, so we're not really using any resources, which is very helpful. Deceptive Predator. I chose this morph simply just because it gives us the Minor Evasion, which reducing our area attacks by 10%. That's very helpful. It gives us the speed buff. Healing Soul. This is our burst heal. I gave our heal over time for the Affix, and then Major Vitality, of course. And then already talked about Dead and Pain. Also, just by having this slotted, we get a 3% boost in our damage reduced. So this will stack with our Nobility and Decay. We don't have the Spirit Menders, so this helps out a lot as well. Yeah, so that's it for the skills. Jumping into the inventory here. Front bar, Lightning Staff of Oak Fathers. So this is why I was basically saying that our weapon and spell damage and our penetration is going to be all over the place. So 2, 3, 4 piece is a crap ton of weapon and spell damage, and then the 5 piece we get basically 450 penetration against enemies for each major buff they have active, and then 20 weapon and spell damage for each of the minor buffs that they have active. Simply just by looking at somebody, it really does act weird. So I don't necessarily believe the tooltip half the time. However, the math shows itself on the screen, as you can see in the BG's clips here. But if you pay attention to the little box that I have here on the screen for my spell penetration, my physical resistance, spell damage, spell penetration, spell resistance, you can kind of see how that just goes up whenever I use something. It can give you an idea of what you could be working with here. So I buff up there, Blue Betty goes there, I'll hit my beetles here. Oh, you know what? I need to do it on a dummy. I'm sorry. Come on, dummy. But yeah, if you look at what happens whenever you attack a target and put a debuff on them, your stuff will go up. So your spell damage, spell penetration, that'll all go up. So I'll attack him once, see how everything just went up real quick. And then, of course, as you can see, our mythic. But then if we cast Blast Bones, they get the debuff on them, and then it changes again, and it changes again. Put that on them, and it changes again. We switch to our back bar, we buff up more. So we're already at 20,000, and we haven't our spell penetration, and we haven't even used our ultimate yet. So, yeah. I wish I could give you an exact number, but I just can't, because I don't have the time to sit here and just stare at the screen. I mean, we have 5,300 weapon and spell damage just by sitting here. So, it is what it is. Alright, so we are using a shock staff. We're using the Berserker Glyph to give us a bit more weapon and spell damage just off a light attack. Back bar, Nobility, and Decay. Talked about this already. It's an ice staff, increases our damage mitigation when blocking. Uses magic as well, too. We have quite a bit of magic to work with thanks to the Betty Netch. It's keeping us topped off at all times. And then this is going to give us our health and healing taken across the board, which is why we have such high health for such a offensive, dense build. Monster set, Balorg, kind of already guessed that since we were talking about it earlier. This is just going to increase our weapon and spell damage and our physical and spell penetration when we use our ultimates. And then, of course, the more ultimate that you have, the higher this tooltip will read. So, obviously, at 500, it's going to give us a crap ton of penetration and then an additional 500 weapon and spell damage. Sash of the Oak Father. These are technically all supposed to be impen, but I just didn't switch them. And then your chest will be trainee and reinforced. So this build we have 4 medium, 2 light, 1 heavy. And then our jewelry, Saint Seducer. This is basically an all-around good utility mythic. If you don't want to use this, by all means use something else. I just think it fits nicely because I kind of have that medium ranged setup. I have to keep people in my shulks distance, but then at the same time I'm using Force Pulse as a spammable. So I don't always have to be hitting people with my shulks. I can, pick people off from ranged pretty good, and then our Blighted Blast Bones will travel pretty far out as well, along with our Remote Totem. So kind of a medium ranged setup, but this is nice to have because when they are in your face, you can stand in your totem and then have all of these buffs and debuffs going off at the same time. And then Ring of Oak Fathers, this is all infused, just basically finishing off the build here. I have weapon and spell damage glyphs on every single one of them, and then I wouldn't change these at all just because we don't really have to worry about our resistances thanks to the damage mitigation that Nobility and Decay offers us. So if I didn't read that already, for those that don't know, this is an Infinite Archive set. It's for the Necromancer only. 2, 3, 4 piece gives us a bunch of health and healing taken, but the 5th piece, when you cast a Bone Tyrant ability, so that is Deaden Pained or our Bone Armor, while in combat, it gives us Beautiful Corpse and Death's Favor. Those are 2 separate buffs. Death's Favor increases your healing received and reduces the damage taken by up to 12%. This is basically almost an undeath passive, just like Vampire. That's why I was trying it with Vampire, because it would stack with it. But the cost to our resources was too heavy, so I took it off. Nonetheless, it's still very effective. But yeah, up to 12% based on our missing health, and it gives us a corpse on our body. So it pairs nicely with the bone armor because you're going to be proccing 2 different corpses, one for our Dead in Pain and one for our Mystic Siphon. If you wanted to do a purebred setup, you could have Mortal Coil running at the same time, which is super cool. I did that on the Crit Crow. I might play around with that a little bit more and see what I can do with it, but very effective, very nice quality of life change for the Necromancer. I appreciate this type of change. So yeah, we get super tanky on the back bar because obviously running an Ice Staff, we have increased block mitigation, decreased damage taken, and then 12% here, and then 3% with our Dead in Pain, which is basically giving us the Undeath passive of 15% reduced damage. I know that was a lot to take in, but if you have to go back and rewind this video, by all means do so, because it is very useful information when you learn how to break down the build and see how it's supposed to be played, so that way you can optimize your play style, try to practice it a little bit, and then once you get the hang of it, it is super effective and fun. Alright, consumables. We have, of course, the tripods from Imperial City / Cyrodiil. Already talked about the food. If you don't have Jewels of Mizrul and you want to use Smoked Bear Haunch because you have more money than I do, then be my guest. But yeah, we have the Crown Tri-Resto potions, or you can go to Cyrodiil and buy them with Alliance points. Another very nice quality of life change. If you don't know, you can take your AP and go buy tripods in Cyrodiil. So PvP more, do more BGs, be cool. Alright, if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments down below. That is the Lich Druid, aka the Lichen Lich. If you don't know what that is, look it up, Google it. It's a pretty cool lore, it's good background. It actually has a nice story tied behind it because, you know, there's not a lot of druid talk in the game besides Warden, so I was trying to make my own, and it was actually very effective. And I changed his outfit to kind of match the personality. Alright guys, that is the build in a nutshell. I will see you guys in the battlefield. Peace out. Stay frosty. I'll see you in the graveyard.